Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Want to hear some of the examples from this week's ad? Well, there's a fabulous mix-or-match sale on flowering shrubs. Everything from alamandra to New Zealand tea plants. Number 4 size, buy one, get one free. Lots and lots of Bob's favorites. Bottle brush, big number 3 size, just $19.99. And nobody has more crepe myrtles than Bob Wines. Prices starting as low as $6.99. Check out those sun and shade loving camellias. They start at just $9.99. And all the hanging baskets are buy one, get one at half price. Check inside the old-time greenhouse and get 20% off indoor foliage. It's warm weather time, and the deals are hot this week at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens Nursery Center, landscaping daily till 4, Saturdays till 3, in the same blooming place on Southeast 38th Street in Ocala for nearly 70 years. It's Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens.
Sunny start to the day.
No friends that are making up crimes so they can stay in the country.
No.
No friends that are in Israel waiting for their Ben and Jerry's.
Wait for the Ben and Jerry's. No, or their soap and things like that.
No friend that's deaf and blind that can't take their assistant with them to the Olympics, to the Paralympics.
No, don't have anybody like that.
Anybody that's got a garden that's just in bad shape and about to die?
There's probably a few of those. Yeah, a few of those. I picked my last tomatoes today.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. The last ones were blushed up, and I said, you know what? I'm getting you out of here. Time to go.
Did you get the massive storm that came through yesterday?
I was at work, but it definitely rained at my house.
It rained?
Yeah.
At my house, when I say massive storm, for about an hour and a half, I had and my dogs don't usually freak out over thunder and lightning.
Okay.
I had all 4 dogs basically wrapped around me like a blanket.
Wow.
Because it was, literally you could see it hit the fence right behind our house. You could see the lightning explosion.
Wow.
Hit a tree across the street from me. You could see the lightning explosion. Left a hole that they say is a lightning strike in the asphalt. Where it hit the asphalt. That went on for like an hour and a half north of town, where I live, north of town. Wow. My rain gauge, it's a 6-inch rain gauge.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much it rained yesterday because it was full.
Wow.
No idea how much it rained.
Wow.
And it rained for about an hour and a half, really hard. I mean, so hard that you couldn't see the neighbor's house.
Right, that it just
puddled. And it was blowing. It was blowing. The wind was blowing. We had probably gusts of 50, 55 miles. The National Weather Service out of Jacksonville said that area, Anthony, Spar, the Reddick, there was a storm moving from the forest, from Salt Springs, that was moving northwest, at 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And it still did that for an hour and a half. So how big was that storm?
That was huge. I know my rain gauge when, I checked it this morning when I went out there, I had 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, but there was I had dumped it from the day before from when it had when I actually I needed to turn the sprinklers on because we've not been getting rain.
Hadn't had rain in the 8 days.
Yeah, which my plants were so happy. In that 8 days, I finally had to put water on a couple of them.
Well, Sunday afternoon, we got back from church Sunday afternoon, and I went, the bell peppers and the and Mom look like they need water.
Yeah.
So I put the sprinkler out and I gave them water. 30 minutes after I gave them water, deluge on Sunday. Then we got it yesterday. We got it yesterday about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And then again about 7:30.
I was gonna say because I was leaving work just after 6 and looking north, you could see it was quite dark over the Ocala area.
It was.
I luckily hit light rain is all I hit driving home, and it had stopped by the time I got to the house.
It rained so hard yesterday. I mean, the rain and the intensity of it, that could actually hurt your gardens and your flower beds and stuff.
Beat everything down.
Right.
Yeah, it just beats things down, especially tender things. Not, your shrubs and that are usually not hurt. I mean, if there's hail mixed in there, hail.
And there were little dime-sized hail. It wasn't very big.
Yeah,
a little bit.
A little bit in there. Yeah, and that happens this time of year. It's always funny that we get freezing raindrops.
Well, it's because the atmosphere way high up is freezing,
and that's where this storm is coming from.
Right.
This was that is.
This I guarantee this was 35,000-foot storm.
Yeah. That was a tall storm. Yeah.
Right.
Bring that kind of
and it was big
wind and the volume of rain and how hard it
tree limbs down everywhere. But luckily soaked in the ground very quickly.
Once it stopped.
Because we've been without rain for about 8 days.
Right, so there was room back into the retention areas, the lawns. Right, things could take that. That was actually when we were going to get the tropical storm.
Yes.
Yeah, that regular summer afternoon event. I had pulled all my potted, because nearly everything I have is in pots. I pulled it up under cover, mostly because I didn't want more rain in them.
Yeah, they were so saturated you didn't want to get them wet anymore.
Exactly, and that at my house since then I had not had anything measurable until yesterday.
You didn't get any rain Sunday?
Nothing measurable.
Yeah, see, we got a pretty good. We got 3/4 on Sunday.
So between the storm and now, those plants that I put back out, they were just then becoming dry. So that's how wet, that's how saturated these areas were. And
right.
I mean, mine, I put extra drainage in my pots, and I don't use little pots usually. I go big. Use more dirt, unfortunately. But put plenty of drainage, has plenty of room for the roots to grow, has plenty of room for that water to be somewhere and to be able to drain out. So, usually you buy a pot and you'll see 2 knockouts in the bottom. It's like, no,
my mom,
here comes my drill.
My mom taught me to take, when you get a big pot like that with 2 knockouts in the bottom, take a 1/4-inch drill and put about 5 more holes in the bottom. She goes, make it almost like your spaghetti strainer.
Right. I do somewhere between 4 and 6.
Right.
Like you say, the 1/4-inch, I actually went out and bought a paddle bit.
Right.
So and the cordless drills right there. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take
here
long.
Here we go. We got 6 holes in here now. It's going to drain.
And then I put it on the saucer, so I have to take the saucer and dump it every now and then.
Yeah, see, I don't even worry about the saucer. I have my my large pot that's got 3 dwarf hibiscus in it, just up on. Actually, they're blocks of wood because I didn't have any bricks, so that it'll actually just drain out and not be sitting right there on the deck.
If you want to call Carol Ann Baldwin, you can do so by calling 352-622-9622 with any questions you may have about your gardens and everything. I tell you what, my neighbor, not happy with the rain.
Oh.
Had just mulched Sunday.
Oh, it all floated away.
It was all in the ditches, all in the ditches and everything.
All in the yard.
Down the driveway and in the ditches.
Yeah, that heavy rain.
The red bark mulch too, so that's not the cheap mulch.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, the pine bark floats.
Floats.
It does. It floats.
And
the shredded mulches don't float
as
near
much.
as bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you use pine straw, it doesn't float near.
Right.
It doesn't do it near as bad. But I guarantee he lost 2/3 of his mulch.
Oh. Yeah.
And he'd been out there all day Sunday mulching.
Oh boy, yeah, that's too bad.
And that's Florida rain.
Right, and that's another example. Here's the mulch floating away. That's another example of why we don't put fertilization down at this time of year.
Because it floats away.
It'll float. Just wash it right away.
That red mulch, is that dyed?
Yes,
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your natural mulches out there. There's natural pine bark color, which the red mulch is eventually going to become that anyway.
Yeah, because it's going to wash off.
It looks pretty, I guess.
It looked really good once you got done.
Yeah, oh yeah, but it's like the added extra expense. I prefer the natural, because it's going to look natural in 6 months anyway, or it's going to look faded.
Right.
Yeah,
It's gonna look pinkish.
It's gonna start to lose that. It's gonna go to that pinkish, and it starts to look a little brown, and then it just kind of goes back to that natural color. So to me, it's like, why worry about the colors in the mulch? Just get the natural. Get something like the Flory mulches or.
And as hard as it rained yesterday, the mulch isn't going to help his plants from getting beat up anyway.
No. The only thing it does, obviously, is it's going to help hold that moisture in once he gets it raked back where it belongs, and helps the weeds, keep the weeds down.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way he's raking that back where it belongs.
No, maybe the blower would blow a lot of it.
It's on a down incline.
Yeah.
You'd have to blow it back uphill and everything.
Right.
I think he's buying more bags of red mulch.
He's going after more red mulch.
That would be my thought.
That would be
Which is one of the reasons why I always use. I'm not mulching.
Right.
Why don't you mulch? Runs out. It's storm. It'll end up in the driveway.
Well, and it's not necessarily necessary. I was talking about this with a coworker, going, that because he was laughing about going, if I'd have known how much people want pine needles.
Yeah.
And that they buy them by the bale, and we have to wait for a truckload to come in. And I'm going, I says, and he said he kind of thought it looked goofy. I says, well, it kind of does if you don't have a pine tree on your yard.
Right.
And you're mulching your crepe myrtles
with pine
and your
straw.
oak with pine straw. Same thing. If you're mulching oak trees with pine straw, it's like, wait a minute. The pine needles go around pine trees.
I have a friend of mine in Georgia that makes a pretty good living. He has 25 acres. His house sits in the middle of the 25 acres.
Right.
It's all pine trees.
Right.
And he goes. He's a farmer, so he does have a farm that he does hay and everything. And once a year, after the pine needles all fall, he brings his little hay baler over there
and bales up
and bales it all up, and then sells and makes a pretty good little check off what he can collect out of his yard. His 25 acres. Right. With those pine straw, with that pine straw. But in Georgia, pines are everywhere.
Yes, and I believe most of the pine straw comes from North Florida and
Georgia. Yeah, and so it looks, you put the pine straw around the bottom of your palm tree, pine trees.
Right.
And so it looks right.
Yes.
You go and get pine straw and put it around a palm tree.
It looks kind of goofy.
Kind of looks dumb.
Yeah. I agree. And people say, oak leaves. People rake up all their oak leaves and put them to the curb or put them in the compost. To me, it's like, okay, why don't you just if you want to, run them through, do it with the mower or with the catcher, and put them back around your oak trees?
Yeah, well, I like the smell of burning oak leaves.
They're too acid.
I like the smell.
Oh, they burn your eyes.
They do burn your eyes.
Yeah.
And you're probably that one person that no matter where you're standing at the fire, the smoke follows you.
Yeah, so I like to burn hickory.
Yeah, you
hickory's good. Hickory smells good.
I learned in North Carolina that you burn what burns slowest in your wood burning stove because that keeps the house warm, and you can't. Sweet gum burns slow.
It does, but you go from a good piece of wood to a rotted log in no.
Well, you do
in no time.
But it burns very slow when you put it in so. This kind of weather, though, that we had just recently with the rain and everything, if we just put stuff in the ground, it could have damaged that too. And you're getting time where you're starting to get done with the tomatoes and you're getting done with that.
Right.
And you're thinking about getting your garden ready, starting, like you said, turn it over, put the visqueen on it and everything.
Right.
The rain could damage that too.
It could, yeah. If you had enough rain or had the little bit of hail coming through, could have torn up that plastic some. It's this time of year we get heavy rain a lot of
and that's something you just go check it and
you walk through the yard. Last night when I got home, I took because I knew it had rained and it appeared that it had rained hard. I walked around the yard, didn't really see anything any big deal, so it's like, okay, there's a stick. Not anything too bad. Didn't look like any wind, but you're in areas with wind. If you've recently put in shrubs, actually yesterday I think we sold 2 or 3 tree stake kits where people had recently bought some small trees and installed them and needed to make sure they're going to stay up, because we have not just our regular afternoon storms or some of these big afternoon storms that can bring with them wind. We can get the tropical storms that'll come through, and small trees, young trees do need to be staked for a while to keep them upright so that they can get their roots settled in there.
That storm that came through yesterday that had 50, 55 mile an hour wind gusts and everything, I've lived through a lot of hurricanes and everything. You couldn't tell much difference between that and a feeder band that would come through with a hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
It was that intense. It was that intense.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing some work working on a podcast, and I looked up and I was like, the magnolia trees swiping in the wind, and the magnolia tree in our backyard.
They don't swipe with it.
But the magnolia tree in our backyard is 25 foot.
Yeah, they don't.
I mean, you got to move a magnolia tree, and the magnolia was blowing in the wind. And so I went out and I looked to see if there was a tornado warning or anything because it looked like that kind of wind, and there was no warnings or watches or anything. So but I'm sure there was microbursts coming out of that because
sure.
And microbursts sometimes are more dangerous than a tornado.
Yes, because it's just that downward blast
that nobody sees coming.
Nobody sees coming, and it knocks trees down and all of that. But but luckily, we did have that week where we had not
dried
had
out
any rain. So a lot of that previous rain from the days of having rains seeped down further, allowed this rain to be absorbed rather quickly. So there shouldn't have been a lot of puddling. I mean, it puddled initially,
right,
but it absorbed.
Thank you, quickly. Florida Aquifer. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of drinking water yesterday.
Oh yeah,
got a lot of drinking water. I mean, it's probably 40 years from us being able to get to it.
Yeah, but still, it's on its way. It's on its way.
It's the Ronald Reagan version. It's trickle down.
Trickle down. There you
trickle
go.
Down.
Trickle down. Yep, trickle down, and
yeah,
that works.
Let me ask you this question because I saw something and that's it. A friend of mine has a citrus tree.
Okay.
Now she bought this citrus tree. It was a 5-foot citrus tree.
Okay. Big one.
Okay, so she bought it, put it in the ground. She bought it about 13 months ago.
Okay.
Put it in the ground. She didn't let it fruit the first time. This year, the 5-foot tree, it's a Myers lemon tree.
Okay.
Got about 20 lemons on it.
Wow.
And I mean, it's a big bush. It's a 5-foot tree, but bushy.
Okay.
So mine was a 2-foot tree.
Right.
That I put in the ground. Mm-hmm. We didn't let it fruit.
Right.
Now it's time for it to start showing fruit again. It's not showing any fruit.
Not showing any. It's also a younger tree.
Yeah, it started out as a 2-foot tree.
Right. And so now you're about 3 now?
3 maybe? Probably, yeah.
So because her tree was already
it was a 5-foot tree, right?
Was already more mature, probably by about 2 to 3 years, and so yes, that tree is going to begin to produce fruit.
Her leaves are dark green. Yeah. My leaves are yellow.
They're still yellow.
Yeah, they're like a yellow green.
Just kind of.
And it's been flooded.
Right.
It's in an area that has flooded.
Yeah. And that might be a little part of it. Mm-hmm. Is that that water just sits there a little bit longer, takes a little longer to perk out of there.
And it's still got it's like this big around.
Yeah, just a little tiny guy.
About around a quarter.
Right.
Is the trunk of this tree.
Yeah, the size of the trunk.
But they still. I mean, it's got new growth.
It's got new growth. That's what matters. Your tree might be a candidate for what they call a nutritional spray. They actually make a citrus nutritional spray, only because we really don't want to throw fertilizer on the ground and then have a storm like this. But the nutritional sprays you can use, and I believe you can use them a little more frequently. It goes just where it says on the leaves. It's a spray. I think Southern Ag might be the brand.
Okay.
They're not about the only one. I'm not sure. Probably Seminole Feed. Right. I don't know. Bob Wines may carry it. Because I think because Southern Ag's one of the smaller producers of garden and farming and chemicals and things like that. So
both trees are the same way. The Myers lemon tree and the ruby red grapefruit tree
are
both. It's like they've stopped. It's not like. They're not growing very much. There's new growth, but they're not growing very much. And they have greenish yellow leaves.
Okay, so they haven't.
The leaf, see the light green leaf on your. It's a little lighter than that.
Yeah, it sounded like.
And it's supposed to be dark green.
Yeah.
I mean, when I looked at my friends, it was dark, like that
dark,
ficus, like that fake ficus. It was dark green like that.
Yeah.
And the Myers lemons are dark green right now.
Right. So yours is sounding like it's having a little bit of a nutritional struggle.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
And it may be that when we put the fertilizer on it and all at the beginning of June, then the rainy season started.
It might not have gotten quite enough to it. So I take a look and see if you can't find that citrus nutritional.
And it's a spray.
It's going to come like in a little pint bottle that you'll mix in a sprayer.
Yep.
So read the directions, and if it tells you to use it more than one time, say 2 weeks or something like that apart, go ahead and try to fit that in.
We got about a week and a half ago, we got 2 more cucumbers.
Oh, wow.
But we don't see any more now.
Yeah, they're probably.
So they're probably. And the
done.
leaves are turning yellow and on the
green.
Fence line and everything. So they're
probably clear it out.
They're probably done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Go ahead and clear it out.
Clear it out. Get it. If you're thinking about doing some fall ones, give it the rest of July, maybe into mid-August or so. Dump you a bag of compost or something in that area. Just rake it in good. You don't even have to really spade it over or anything. Just rake it in good, and you can start over again.
622-9622 is the number to call if you have any questions about your gardens, your flower areas, your potted plants, your yard, your trees, your shrubs, anything.
Whatever you got.
Master Gardener Caroline Baldwin is here to answer your questions. Right now at your job, because you deal with plants on a daily basis, are you seeing people come in? Are they looking for anything particular more than anything else right now? Is there a mover and shaker in late July?
There's everybody wants what they see that's blooming nicely in their neighbor's yards.
But if you see it blooming in your neighbor's yard, isn't it a little too late?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you could get it, and then you know that next year at this time I'm going to have it looking like this. Only thing I'm going to say, and people are going to go, that I don't know. I don't know if it sounds like BS or not. A lot of the things where we're seeing shortages, price increases, things like that, are from last year. It is caused. This is the downward effect of this. Last year, when COVID closed everything, they closed the nurseries.
Right. So you had last year already. You had everything in.
We had everything in. Everything was already grown.
Now
everything
you're showing.
Was planted. Now we're showing where they were closed and could not plant.
You don't have the stuff this year.
We don't have the stuff. My tables. This is the first time in the 10 years plus years that I've worked with plants in a retail sense that I've had empty tables. And they've been empty.
And they're going to remain empty.
And they're going to possibly remain. I'm hoping that come fall, that they've had all summer to begin to get some of the hardier shrubs and maybe some of the fall blooming perennials and things like that will be doing a little better in quantities and reliable deliveries. I'm not sure if any smaller nurseries have the independent nurseries have the advantage in this because they use smaller mom and pop suppliers as well. And they're not using these huge commercial wholesalers necessarily in order to get their supplies. So
they may have access to something you can't.
You may find some of your better or your nicer plants or the plants that you're looking for at Bob Wine's, at some of your other smaller independent nurseries, again, because either they're producing it themselves or they use mom and pop places that didn't have to close during COVID. Where down in Miami they just shut it down to where it was just essential personnel, so they were not operating a full nursery.
I got a text just a few minutes ago, and I'm going to ask you about the text on the other side of the break because it asked about a flower or a type of flower and whether it could be grown effectively here in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And I think I know the answer.
All right.
But we're going to ask you about it after the break because it's one of those flowers that everybody loves.
Everybody wants one.
Everybody loves it. And it's not roses.
Gotcha.
Because don't everybody love roses.
It's not hibiscus.
Believe me. You know how I know everybody doesn't love roses? Because my mom grew prize-winning roses for all my life.
Roses?
I hate them.
Yeah, you still feel the stickers.
Oh, bad. Because I had to pick up the pruning.
Right.
You couldn't touch the rose bush.
No. But you
better get the pruning stuff when she prunes it.
Get that all over.
And that's just sticker bushes. And I don't care, leather gloves, whatever. Some of those pokes came through. Oh, aggravated me to no end. Caroline Baldwin in the garden with Master Gardener Caroline Baldwin. We'll be back with more after this time out at 1370 AM 96.3 FM WOCA The Score.